The biggest game of the season for Arsenal is here. Arsenal
Yeah.
वर्सेस रियल मैड्रिड, चैंपियंस लीग का क्वार्टर फाइनल, और 19 साल के बाद हमें खेलने को मिल रहा है मैड्रिड से. इसी बारे पे डिस्कस करने के लिए हमारे पास प्रथमेश हैं. तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. एंड आगे बढ़ने से पहले अगर आप मेरे चैनल पर नए हो और आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो मेरे चैनल को प्लीज सब्सक्राइब कर देना. एंड टॉपिक पे आगे बढ़ते हैं. सो एक स्टार्ट है, वो आपको पता ही होगा कि चैंपियंस लीग में रियल मैड्रिड ने आर्सेनल को कभी हराया नहीं है, राइट? एंड ये है ना, ये ट्रू स्टैट आई गेस.
Yes, yes, yes.
एंड अगर देखा जाए तो एवरीबडी इज राइटिंग अस ऑफ. एंड
Hmm.
बट यार फुटबॉल है, कुछ भी पॉसिबल है, कुछ भी पॉसिबल
Correct.
हो सकता है, ठीक है.
Correct.
एंड एवर्टन का हमने मैच देखा, ड्रॉ हो गया अभी. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि इज आर्सेनल रेडी फॉर द मैड्रिड गेम?
Okay, so basically, Madrid as a team are very poor in defending corners first of all, or
हाँ.
in set pieces in general. So in that perspective, I think Gabriel Magalhaes is a big miss because he's very good in the air. Our
हम्म.
biggest corner threat, obviously. I think 6 goals in the Premier League via corners.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a big miss. So you cannot replace Gabriel Magalhaes in the starting lineup. So obviously a big miss, and came directly after the international break. Like we are expecting him to like play limited minutes before the Madrid game, and like since half of our defense is out. Like if you see Tomiyasu was out, White
हम्म.
isn't fully fit, right? During the international break, I'm talking about before he got
हम्म.
injured, right? Calafiore is out, Tomiyasu is out, White is out, obviously. So we were short in defense, and then we got an injury that and Magalhaes was out, right? So
हम्म.
a big loss for us. Calafiore would have made a lot of difference if he had come at the LCB level to replace Gabriel, because he's one of those players who has that chaos factor, right?
Yeah.
Who can take the ball from the deep and make runs, and he can obviously score and assist as well. So even he's a big miss in that perspective. So obviously Gabriel is a huge miss. So yeah, but I mean, since the last two games, we have seen Kiwior step up, like the last game as well,
Yeah.
and this game as well, right? So against Everton, he was the man of the match, official man of the match. He
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
Everton. So a lot of people are writing him off before like giving him a chance. But obviously Everton and even Fulham, right? They aren't very attacking teams, right? They are more of a mid block, low block sort of team, so they don't attack much. And most of the XG or the shots on target are like 5 or 6. That XG is nearly one for both of them, like Fulham and Everton, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so from that perspective, he doesn't have to defend a lot. It's like he's a good defender, and his long balls are good. But if you're coming against a team which is which will attack a lot, like say like
Mm-hmm.
Man City or Liverpool or even Madrid now currently, that's a totally different ball game. So I mean, to go from Gabriel to Kiwi or even any other option, like even White, for example, is a problem for us.
Yeah. So the problem with Kivior is like I feel कि आर्टेटा मतलब इस सीजन उसने इतना बैक नहीं किया उसको. So I feel he is
Yeah,
low in confidence. तो उसको जब भी स्टार्ट मिलता है ना, so I think he has that thing in his mind,
correct.
कि जो स्टर्लिंग में भी काफी एविडेंट दिखता है कि मतलब उसके चेहरे पे दिखता है कि कॉन्फिडेंस ही नहीं है.
Mhm.
So that may be because of the circumstances उसको स्टार्ट ही करने को नहीं मिलता है. But today it was like मतलब Everton के against it was like Kiwior had that thing in his mind कि today I have to prove myself. And
Correct.
plus the positive was कि he knew कि he is the one जो start करने वाला है रियल मैड्रिड के अगेंस्ट. तो वो एक जो लास्ट सीजन के एंड में वो एक कॉन्फिडेंस दिखता था उसमें, तो आज वो दिखा.
So one thing is, Kivior as a player who, when you have to, play against a low block or a mid block, because I just told you, right, his
Yeah, yeah,
long balls are very good. So what
yeah.
happens is his left foot is very good. So if you're given an opportunity to like or space, I would say, from the deep to create long balls or to ping a long ball, he's really good. But one-on-one defending is really, I mean, not up to the level which Arsenal actually play at, right? So the problem is, since we actually play on a very high block, like so most of the times We are like our defenders, like a centre back Saliba and Gabriel, are near the halfway line, and they actually assist the attackers as well, right? So what happens with PVR is there is a chance for the attacker to run in behind them, right? So if you have a very good, very fast attacker, it happened against Munich last season. So there are like players
Yes,
like
yes,
Sane, for
yes.
example, right?
Mhm,
Who was making runs, like since he has speed, he was making runs. Uh, the same thing happens with Saliba and Gabriel as well. A lot of players, like we have seen, obviously the player who's linked with us, Gyokeres, make
mhm,
a lot of runs in the channels, like make a straight run,
mhm,
bypass both of
mhm,
them a lot of times.
mhm,
That's because they are always on the high line, right? They are playing at a very high
mhm,
line, so there are very good chances of players running past them. And both of them, like Gabriel and Saliba, have the pace to stop these players. Like they can track back and stop the players. But with Kivior, his pace is a bit slow, on the slower
mhm,
side. So what happens is, if you're playing against Madrid and you're trying to
mhm,
attack them, right? If you're trying to attack
mhm,
Madrid, like what certain clubs do, like if you want to defeat Madrid, you have to attack them. If we
mhm,
try and attack Madrid, they have the pace in Vini, they have the pace in Rodrigo,
mhm,
Mbappe, Jude Bellingham.
mhm,
All these guys are pace, right? So if
mhm,
if Kivior tries to attack them, or we try and put Kivior in the high line, he has a very high chance of getting exposed. So
true.
that's the biggest problem with starting Kivior in against Madrid, right? So what
Mhm,
we have to do is we have to hope that Ben White is ready for this game, because I don't think Kivior is the player we should go for against Madrid. He can obviously start the next PL game. He can play the entire 90 minutes, and he's a good player.
mhm,
I'm not saying he's a bad player, like what a lot of Arsenal fans say he is like. Uh,
mhm,
but there's a gap between Ben White, Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, Timber, and
mhm. QVR.
Igor Zinchenko, for example, even Tierney
Mhm,
to a certain extent. So this gap is such, even if it's small, but when you're playing against elite teams, they expose you badly. So
mhm,
we have to hope, Ben White is ready to play centre back.
mhm,
Ben White against Everton, he
mhm,
was okay. He was a bit raw. There were a lot of
mhm,
people like saying that he didn't have his best game. But the
mhm,
problem is he's playing at right back, and for us the right back is an overlapping option. So he's like
mhm,
always advanced. He has to make a lot of runs, like on the wings,
mhm,
like on the flank. He has to make a
mhm,
lot of runs, which
mhm,
won't be there at a CB position. So CB, like if he plays at CB,
mhm,
Saliba will be LCB. Obviously, plays on the left of France. White
mhm,
will be the RCB. So the only thing which they have to do is they have to like set up in a high block and just stop the attackers from attacking us. That's the only thing. Whereas Timber will be the free player who will be running on the flanks. So I really hope that White is, I mean, fit enough. There are another couple of days, 2 days, 3 days
mhm,
left, and since the leg, I mean, the first leg is at the Emirates,
mhm.
we actually have another training session which Madrid won't have, because Madrid will be traveling
Yeah, yeah.
tomorrow to
Actually,
London.
they, yeah, huh. Yeah, yeah,
So Madrid just finished the game right now, and they lost against Valencia
yeah, yeah,
2-1.
yeah.
And
2-1.
now
Yeah.
tomorrow night, I think they'll be traveling to London. So they won't be having a training session. They'll be having a
Mhm,
training session either on Monday, like evening, or
mhm,
Tuesday. So we have the advantage of having 2 or 3 more training sessions, because the match was early. So tomorrow,
mhm.
in the morning, evening, basically there will be a training session. So we have 3 or 4 training sessions for Ben White to be fit enough to, play against Madrid. I hope so. Like I hope so. Yes.
ठीक है.
So,
And
another player
mhm,
whom I like to mention about, I've seen it against Everton and I've seen it against Fulham as well.
mhm,
It's Martinelli. Obviously, Martinelli
mhm,
has been really really good, and we
mhm,
actually talked about this after the Chelsea game as well, right?
mhm,
Martinelli has been really fit like the past 2 or 3 weeks. He has been crossing really well. Against Chelsea, he was passing from the right. Against Fulham and Everton, he was passing from the left. The biggest
mhm,
advantage which Martinelli has is he has started using his left foot really well. So most of his crosses
mhm,
are coming from the left foot.
mhm,
So that helps a lot, because now what is happening, he can take it to the flank and he can cross it
mhm,
from the left. And we have a target man like
mhm,
Marino, who is present, right? So he has a target man like Marino who he can cross to.
mhm,
It's not like he's crossing to someone like Trossard, right? Trossard is very short and not very good in the air. So he has Merino who can cross it to, and Merino obviously will be playing centre forward against Madrid. So that's a really good performance from him the last two matches. I think again what's happening is he doesn't have a lot of goals and assists to his name.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so people actually don't, this game as well, like Everton, he didn't have an
Mm-hmm.
assist.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, he didn't do anything like, but he actually dragged their right back out of his place. He has that gravitas which pulled a lot of the Everton defenders and the central defenders towards him, which
Mm-hmm.
allowed Rice to make
Space.
certain runs. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rice to make certain runs. Um, so it's a very good performance. Another good performance which I have to mention is MLS. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you must have seen his run from the deep,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
he's very unfortunate to like get the penalty. It wasn't a penalty, first of all.
Yeah.
Like
True. True. True.
definitely wasn't a penalty, and even rival
Yeah.
fans are saying that it was a hoax. Like it's not a
Yeah. Yeah.
penalty.
Yeah.
So really harsh to get a penalty, but otherwise like a very solid game from him. So really good. I mean, to have a player,
Mm-hmm.
a 17-year-old player from Haaland
Mm-hmm.
start against Madrid, like it's a dream come true for him, and I hope he does well against them.
एंड आई थिंक
Yes, yes,
रिसेंटली उसने एक मैच और में भी ऐसा ही कुछ सिमिलर रन किया
yes,
था.
yes,
आई
yes,
डोंट
yes.
रिमेम्बर एग्जैक्टली कौन सा मैच था, बट या इट्स गुड टू सी हिम बैक.
He's
या
actually somewhat like Musa
या
Dembele from Spurs. Like
या या
if you see the runs which Musa Dembele made, he was like playing somewhere around even Wilshere, right? Jack Wilshere.
जैक
Um,
विल्शर.
so they were playing somewhere in the left side midfield, and they
या.
used to make runs like darting runs towards the box, right? So these are the two players who are like who come in my mind if I look at MLS. But MLS is doing from left back, right? And these two players were from midfield, like so that's a
मिडफील्ड.
big advantage. It also shows that Arteta somewhat gives freedom to the left-sided, left back or left-sided defender because Zinchenko is also during his peak, like he used to make those runs. But MLS is much more, physical in that aspect, and he doesn't get bullied. Zinchenko is a bit weak in that aspect. So there is very good chance of someone, pushing Zinchenko away or tackling him. But with MLS, that doesn't happen because they're very physical. So he's a very good player for us, a gem for us. Again, a revelation this season. So I really hope that he has a good game against Madrid because there will be a lot of eyes towards him, right? Because this is his first very big game is which he's playing.
तो फिर फॉर्म की बात करते हैं तो हमारा प्रीमियर लीग में तो ऐसा कुछ है नहीं, 6 में से हम 2 ही जीते हैं.
Yes,
एंड बट हमारा चैंपियंस लीग का फॉर्म हैज बीन वेरी गुड. हम बस
yes,
एक मैच हारे थे, आई थिंक
yes.
इंटर के अगेंस्ट, एंड
yes.
लीग
That
स्टेज
was
में,
a,
एंड
that
देन
was
पी.
a, that was because of a penalty which shouldn't be given
या या
again,
या
like a
या
Everton
या
one. Yeah, yeah. Mm.
या एंड फिर राउंड ऑफ 16 में पीएसवी को तो हमने धो दिया अच्छे से. सो
Mm.
इन चैंपियंस लीग मतलब तो एटलीस्ट चैंपियंस लीग में वी कैन बी कॉन्फिडेंट हमारा फॉर्म अच्छा है. और ऑन द अदर हैंड अगर रियल मैड्रिड की बात करें तो उनका लीग स्टेज में फॉर्म इतना अच्छा नहीं था. मतलब ठीक था, 3 मैच हारे थे, उनके स्टैंडर्ड्स के हिसाब से इतना अच्छा नहीं था. एंड आई थिंक वो लीग में लाइक 11th फिनिश किया था चैंपियंस लीग में उन्होंने.
Yes,
एंड हाँ.
outside top eight. Mm.
या एंड मैंने मतलब टू बी ऑनेस्ट मैंने मैड्रिड को इस सीजन इतना फॉलो नहीं किया. मैंने उनके 2 मैचेस बार्सिलोना के अगेंस्ट देखे, वो दोनों में बार्सिलोना ने उनको अच्छे से धोया. फिर मैंने एक मैच उनका सीजन के स्टार्टिंग में लीग मैच देखा था एटलेटिको के अगेंस्ट, तो वो ड्रॉ
Mm.
हुआ था, बट दैट
Mm.
वाज आल्सो वेरी बोरिंग.
Mm.
एंड फिर एक लिवरपूल के अगेंस्ट देखा था, ऑफ कोर्स उसमें भी लिवरपूल ने अच्छे से उनको हराया था. तो
Mm.
मतलब इस सीजन बीटेबल लग रहे हैं रियल मैड्रिड. इट्स नॉट कि मतलब एक, of course that hype is there because they are the defending champions, but of course they can be beaten. अभी recently उनका कोपा डेल रे में भी आई थिंक पेनल्टीज में गया था मैच,
Mm.
एंड राउंड ऑफ
Sociedad
16
के
में भी वो.
against.
या तो
Sociedad, yeah,
राउंड,
Sociedad. Yes.
हाँ
Mm.
हाँ हाँ हाँ. एंड
Mm.
राउंड ऑफ 16 में भी वो पेनल्टीज के थ्रू ही आए हैं. सो हमें ये मैच को कैसे अप्रोच करना चाहिए?
So Madrid as a team aren't very good defending, right? They're not very good
हम्म.
defenders. So the teams which they play against in transition, like you mentioned, Liverpool.
Mhm.
Those are the teams which they are very bad against. The second teams which they are bad against is teams which defend well. Today we saw against Valencia. Valencia is a very good team in
Mhm.
defense, right? So the
Mhm.
manager is somewhat like, I wouldn't say Arteta
Mhm.
level, Mikel level,
Mhm.
but he's someone who prioritizes defending first, like
Mhm.
Simeone, like Arteta.
Mhm.
So these are the clubs who can hurt Madrid because their main threat is attack, right?
Mhm.
But one of the problems with Madrid, or one of the advantages with Madrid, is they have
Mhm.
the star power to actually score because it's not,
Mhm.
it's not dependent on a
Mhm.
single player, right? It's
Mhm.
not that you can stop Mbappe, or like what happens with Liverpool or City, right? You stop Haaland,
Mhm.
City don't have a lot of threat around, right? If you stop Salah, Liverpool don't have a threat around. Obviously, they can score, like Diaz is there, Jota is there, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. They can score, but the main threat is just one or two players, right? But with Madrid, there are 4 or 5 players who can hurt you. So obviously, there's a lot of threat around Madrid, but as you said, they are not the same thing which the who are like the same team which they were last season. There are a couple of holes which we can
Mhm.
exploit. The midfield is very weak. The defense is very weak.
Mhm.
So we can exploit. But as you said, the biggest problem with us is
Mhm.
players like Megalis, players like
Mhm.
Havertz.
Mhm.
These two are the big miss. Saka is back after a while. I think
Mhm.
today against Everton, he didn't look really good.
Mhm.
Um, like I think in a phase of around 70th minute to 85th minute, like 15 minutes phase,
Mhm.
I think he touched
Mhm.
the ball only twice. Uh, so he's not someone in form. Like we wanted him to be in form to actually hurt Madrid, so he's not in form as such.
Mhm.
Benjamin White, again a player who overlaps really well. Benjamin
Mhm.
White is a player who from the right back, right? He can
Mhm.
cross really well. He's a very good crosser, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
he's a very good overlapping option. So Timber
Mhm.
isn't a very good overlapping option. Timber is good one
Mhm.
on one,
Mhm.
right? These are the two different players which we have. White would have
Mhm.
been my preferred choice against Madrid at the right back. Timber
Mhm.
would have been my preferred choice at a left back if Skelly wasn't
Mhm.
around, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because Skelly is now playing really well.
Mhm.
Obviously, we should start Skelly, but my
Mhm.
preference, if everyone was fit, was Timber, Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, and Benjamin White from the right. So
Mhm.
Benjamin White is someone who will run up and down.
Mhm.
The other three will be setting up. Three will be defending. Party will be
Mhm.
coming back. So we have, because since why this is important is because we have a lot of threat creation from the right hand side, because Saka is on the right,
Mhm.
Ødegaard is on the right, and White is on
Mhm.
the right. So we have
Mhm.
three options on the right,
Mhm.
right, and then we have someone like Havertz or Merino, who's a target man who these players can cross
Mhm. Mhm.
and score a goal. Obviously, Havertz is also the same. They can cross and he can score a goal. So
Mhm.
that's a very very big miss for me, because if all the players were available, I would be very very
Mhm.
confident going into the game. But
Mhm.
now what is happening is Madrid is also prioritizing the CL. Right.
Mhm.
So today
True, true.
they rested a lot of players, right? And they'll have
Mhm.
Valverde. They'll have
Mhm.
Valverde playing at the right back the next game.
Mhm.
He was playing in center mid. He'll be
Mhm.
playing at right back next
Mhm.
game. Asensio is back. Rudiger
Mhm.
will be playing. Mendy is also
Mhm.
back for them, and Courtois was missing. So Courtois is a very good player for them, right? He's a crucial
Mhm.
element to them.
Mhm.
He will also play the next match. So they have their best 11 playing against us, except
Mhm.
Choumeni. Choumeni is obviously suspended. But other than that, I think Kamavinga will be playing, the center mid. So he'll be like ready. So they have the full team, full 11 ready to play against us. Whereas we have 3 or 4 players missing, or 2 players missing, and 2 players who are not, really fit to play
Mhm.
against us.
Mhm.
So that's the biggest issue for me.
Okay. So what do you think? जैसे अपना गैब्रियल के इंजर्ड होने से तो अपना डिफेंस तो खराब हो ही गया, एंड ऑफ कोर्स
Yes,
हावर्ट्ज
yes.
इज आल्सो इंजर्ड. हावर्ट्ज इज आल्सो इंजर्ड. सो
Hmm.
you think कि हमारा like attacking option is good enough to score goals against him? मतलब,
Uh,
do you
our
think?
our yeah, our
Yeah.
attacking option. I think the biggest threat for them will be Martinelli,
Hmm.
because For me, what we can do and what Arteta can do to win the game is to like deep block. So the threat will be on transition, and Martinelli and Saka are the two main players in transition. Martinelli is much more quicker than Saka in that aspect. So we can use Raya to ping long balls to him if he can make runs. Attacking wise, I think all of them, like even Rudiger, is someone who will attack us. Right, he is not a player who will just sit back and just defend. So Rudiger will be also coming forward. Asensio and Valverde. Valverde is also a right back. He's like somewhat like Kyle Walker in right back, so he'll also be attacking. So they'll have possibly Camavinga and Asensio defending, like those two players defending. So if there's a free run, like for example, if Raya can pass the ball to Martinelli, Martinelli is a player who can take one or two players on, and there's a chance we can score. So Martinelli is the biggest threat for me. Uh, Other than that, I think it's mostly corners. Like if you can, or set pieces, if you can, pass from the corners, there's a chance that we score because they're very very poor in defending corners and defending set pieces. So that's where we can gain advantage. So I won't
ठीक
say
है
it's
तो
like I won't say that I won't say we won't attack or there won't be any threats from us. But the way I'm seeing what Arteta will do is he'll try and stop them for 45 minutes. The first half will be mostly defensive, and in the second half I think he'll try and attack more. So there is like chances of someone like Ethan coming on in the second half and creating more, because then you have a fresh player against the players who but Madrid will be obviously attacking a lot, so they'll also be tired. So I think the main slot is for us is after the 60th minute. If we can hold on for the 60th minute, we have a good chance of scoring a couple of goals after the 60th minute.
So you just mentioned कि Nwaneri might come in the second half. So that
Yes.
means, according to you, Bukayo Saka will start.
Yes, I expect him to start because he did today, right?
Yeah. And he
So I
played in the
expect,
second half, na? 45 minutes he played.
yeah, 45 minutes. I mean, 45 minutes
Yeah.
he played, second half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's expected to start. The thing is, if he had have played less than 30 minutes, like if he had have come for
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at around 65 minutes to 70 minutes, then I would have said that it's a chance that he plays only one half against Madrid. But since he's played 45 minutes, it's a really good, indication that he'll start against Madrid. So it will be like Merino, Martinelli, Saka, Partey, Ødegaard, Rice. Then right back, I think, will be Timber, Benjamin White, Saliba, MLS, and Raya. So that's what my 11 will be.
Okay. So for मतलब Kivior won't start.
I don't think so. It's a risk to start Kiwior against Madrid.
So he can't मतलब ऐसा कुछ Arteta कर सकता है कि he might start him at left back considering it's
Kiwior,
a big match. Kivior.
Kiwior.
मतलब
No. MLS and Timber are our best one-on-one
okay.
defenders. So he's not gonna. These two are like fixed for me. Like right back and left back are fixed for me because these two are very very good one-on-one. Both of them are very physical. Like MLS is someone who you cannot push the ball. Once he gets the ball, you cannot push it away from him. And same with Timber. So these two players, especially against tricky wingers or pacey wingers, these two players have to play for me. Tomiyasu is another good example. Like Tomiyasu is again very good one-on-one.
True.
Obviously, he's out for the season or the year, but for me right now, it's like White and Timber and MLS starting left back and right back.
Okay. And what was your midfield? वही Partey, Ødegaard, Rice,
Yeah. It will be
and
the same.
Merino up front. Merino.
Merino center forward, right? So we need a target man for Raya to pass the ball to, or the target man if you have to cross the ball in the box, right? So Merino is good with the air in the air. Merino one more advantage is he has a tendency to take a shot, right? If you see
Yeah.
Merino, what he does is he takes shots which a lot of our players are actually hesitant to take. Like Ødegaard comes in a good position, but he tends to pass. Merino is not that player. Like he takes shots. Which he shouldn't. Sometimes it's like frustrating. Sometimes he takes
Yeah.
shot which he shouldn't, but it's a good indication that he is confident enough to like in his mind he has that confidence that he might score a goal. So that's really good.
So predictions की बात कर लेते हैं. What do you think is gonna happen? First leg की बात करते हैं. Let's not talk about
Okay.
second leg. उसके लिए हम दोबारा एक और वीडियो कर लेंगे.
Okay.
So what is gonna happen like कल Madrid के against?
I think it will be 1-1 draw. I
Okay.
think I think they'll score first. My predictions are they'll score first.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in the second half, like we'll dominate a lot. So it will be like first 20-30 minutes they'll be dominating. So what happened like in the PSG versus Liverpool game, right? So they came
Mm-hmm.
out, they started attacking. So I think the initial 5 or 10 minutes are the time where I would say we are a bit not
Mm-hmm.
up to the pace. A lot of games are there where it takes time for us to settle down a bit. In the bigger games, I've seen like against even Chelsea and Man United, what happens was in the first 5 or 10 minutes we do look a bit nervy, like. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and if a team like Madrid start attacking, there is a chance they might score a goal in the beginning. But once we settle down, it's very tough for people to penetrate us. Like, so if we can, keep our heads down, if we can keep a clean sheet till the 45th minute, I think we have a chance to win. But I think 1-1 will be a good, good scoreline going to Bernabeu, because then we'll have confidence in ourselves that we took something away from Madrid and we're going to Bernabeu with some confidence. And obviously, Saka and Benjamin White and even Calafiore should be fit for those games. So that's a big added advantage, I'd say.
हाँ. But Gabriel Magalhaes is out like पूरे season के लिए is out, right?
Like, I think he's out for 4 or 5 months. I think it's the same thing which happened to Havertz. So like Havertz is out till June,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this guy I think will be out till August, I guess, because that's the timeline which is there, like 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
So, like he'll be
ठीक.
missing pre-season as well.
हम्म. ठीक है फिर बाकी के 3 मैच का भी एक छोटा सा कर लेते हैं बायर्न और इंटर का जस्ट प्रेडिक्शंस
Mhm.
मतलब बायर्न के होम पे अगेंस्ट
Mhm.
इंटर
Mhm. I
सो
think
व्हाट डू यू थिंक
I think
प्रेडिक्शन
it will be nil-nil, because Inter is a
हाँ
team
हाँ
which doesn't
या
allow
या
players to score goals. So Inter
हाँ
again, like Atletico Madrid,
हाँ
is one of the best defensive driven teams. So I think it will be nil-nil there. As I told you last time as well, like Inter is my favorite to win the Champions League. So I think it will be like nil-nil here and 1-0 victory at home. So for me, the first leg will be nil-nil.
ओके बार्सिलोना डॉर्टमुंड ऑफ कोर्स बार्सिलोना राइट
Barca,
बार्सिलोना
Barca, I
कैम नाउ
think, yeah, I mean
ओके
they're in form right now. So I
या
think
एंड
it will be
पीएसजी
like, I think
ओके
PSG is also going through. Like
ओके
PSG, Barca, I think both of them will end up scoring 2 goals each, minimum, minimum.
ठीक है तो अभी थोड़ा सा ऑफ टॉपिक जाते हैं मतलब ये तो
Yes,
हमको पता है रिसेंटली इस सीजन में लाइक वी हैव स्ट्रगल टू स्कोर गोल्स एंड
yes, yes.
एंड चैंपियंस लीग में भी हम यही देख रहे हैं कि आवर बेस्ट चांस टू क्वालिफाई आगे के लिए इज ऑफ डिफेंस बट देन अगेंस्ट यू हैव टू स्कोर गोल्स टू विन विन अ गेम राइट
Yes, yes,
तो
yes.
अभी रिसेंटली काफी योकेरेस के बारे में काफी रूमर्स आ रहे हैं कि आर्सेनल आर गोइंग फ्रॉम हिम ऑलमोस्ट डील एग्रीड और या दे आर इन टॉक्स और समथिंग लाइक दैट
Okay, so Gyokeres is a player who's an out-and-out goal scorer. So there's no denying it. Like, give him a chance, he'll score. But there are there are some negatives around him, right? Uh, so if you ask me, right, if you ask me, or my favorite player obviously is Isak. I mean, even you would obviously go for
yeah
him. But
yeah
the thing
yeah
is with Isak is it will cost around 150 mil, 120 mil. The bigger problem is like Newcastle will demand a lot upfront, right? Because he's the star player. Like it's like us selling Saka, right? If tomorrow if Madrid come for Saka, and just to drive away the interest, we have some bizarre quotation like give us 250 mil, give us 200 mil, which we know they won't be able to pay. So obviously, Newcastle are quoting those amounts for him, right? Because they don't want to sell him. And 150 mil for one player with very high upfront, like one-time payment, it's like spending our entire budget on him. So it doesn't make sense for us to like spend it on Isak, right? So for me, the second choice personally is Sesko. Sesko is someone who has played for a top five league, right? German league, and one of the biggest advantages of German league is the
Mhm.
coaches, right? If you see the German
Yeah.
coaches which are in the German league, and even if they
Mhm.
come to PL, right,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
level of coaching is very good. Like
Mhm.
if you see Klopp, for example,
Mhm.
Tuchel,
Mhm.
all these
Mhm.
coaches are from Germany. Their coaching is elite.
Yeah.
Leipzig is one of these, one of the few, I would say, clubs uh, who are like Brighton, for example, right? So they
Mhm.
are one of those clubs who aren't winning titles, but
Mhm.
they are one of those clubs whose
Actually, yeah. Mhm.
coaching is very good. So if you remove
Mhm.
a player from Leipzig and
Mhm.
you put him in a good team, right, his
Mhm.
chances of performing is very good.
Mhm.
So Sesko has very good coaching,
Mhm.
coaching done to
Mhm.
him, like at the age of 21, right? He has
Mhm.
still a long time to go.
Mhm. Mhm.
He has hundreds. He has already scored 100 goals.
Mhm.
At the age of 21, like if you see the record, like I think the last 15-20 years, no one has scored more than 100 goals before touching 21.
Mhm.
So it's a very good record to have, right?
Mhm.
With Gyökeres, the issue is again Portuguese league. The
Mhm.
issue with him
Mhm.
is he's a good
Mhm.
player. Like I'm not saying that
Mhm.
he won't be,
Mhm.
won't click, but it's
Mhm.
the goals are mostly on transition, right? It's like
Mhm.
how Liverpool play, like how Salah plays, and
Mhm.
Arteta Mikel actually doesn't like players to play on transition. He's much more of a
Mhm.
control freak.
Mhm.
So what happens is if he actually wants the centre backs to pass it to the midfield, the midfielder to pass it to the
Mhm.
wing, the winger to
Mhm.
actually cross it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Saka is the most dangerous player. Martinelli
Mhm.
is our
Mhm.
most dangerous player. Ødegaard is the
Mhm.
most dangerous player. So these three
Mhm.
are our most dangerous players, right?
Mhm.
Center forward is a player who's supposed to help them not score a lot of
Mhm.
goals. This is what is happening currently, obviously.
Mhm. Mhm.
Havertz, Jesus, before him, Lacazette, all
Like
these
I said.
players, all these players used to help the wingers, help the center midfielders
Mhm.
score
Mhm.
goals. So they used to drop
Mhm.
back, they used to
Mhm.
have link up play. Gyökeres obviously has that link up play in him. He's good. He has a
Mhm.
good link up play.
Mhm. Mhm.
But one of the biggest problems with him is he doesn't make good runs in the box. So what he
Mhm.
does is he takes the ball from the halfway line. He runs because he has a good
Mhm.
pace. He has good power. He
Mhm.
has good pace. So he runs with the ball,
Mhm.
and he
Mhm.
scores. So something like I would say a really similar option to him is like if you have seen Liam Delap play for Ipswich,
Mhm. Yes, yes.
um, he's somewhat
Mhm.
similar. Wood
Mhm.
is somewhat similar to him. Wood
Mhm.
takes the ball from midfield. He actually drags the ball from the midfield to the center
Mhm.
forward near the box, and he
Mhm.
scores, right.
Mhm.
So we don't do that, right? We are much more of a
Mhm.
control
Mhm.
sort of team
Mhm.
where a center forward like
Mhm.
Havertz will take the ball, he'll
Mhm.
pass it to Martinelli, he'll pass
Mhm.
it around, and Martinelli will obviously pass it back to him and all
Mhm.
that stuff, right? Um, so in that perspective, Gyökeres is not a
Mhm.
player who
Mhm.
I would say will come here
Mhm.
and start scoring a lot of goals. The
Mhm.
other thing is the
Mhm.
defensive part in the Portuguese league, or the defense in the Portuguese league.
Mhm.
Even the CL, right? The games which
Mhm.
has scored. So a lot of people have the perception, because he has scored 3 goals against City,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
if you see what happened, right? Even we have scored 5 goals against City,
Mhm.
right? The
Mhm.
defense is so bad. City's defense is so bad.
Mhm.
They have scored,
Mhm.
like we have scored 5 goals,
Mhm.
and in the last 6 games we have scored 5 goals in the last 6 games. If you see against Fulham, Everton,
Mhm.
Chelsea, uh, Man United, and before
Mhm.
that West Ham. So in these 5 or 6 games, we have scored only 5 goals. So our defense is so bad that we are scoring 5 goals in one game as opposed to 5 goals in 5 games, for example, right?
Mhm.
So the defense is not up to the mark. So Gyökeres is again, Pep is another player who's like a control freak and plays his
Mhm.
CBs very high, right? And
Mhm.
Gyökeres is a player again, as I told you, that once he gets space,
Mhm.
he'll
Mhm.
run in the channel and score goals. So in that
Mhm.
perspective, he does really well against teams
Mhm.
who actually defend
Mhm.
very high. So Arsenal
Mhm.
are a team which will score against. City are the team
Mhm.
which will score against, right? Chelsea are another team which will score against. But in Premier League,
Mhm.
outside the top six, if you see
Mhm.
teams like Forest,
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, Fulham,
Mhm.
Everton, they don't give you space.
Yeah.
So Gyökeres will not work in those perspective.
Mhm.
Uh, he is not good in the air. Like Gyökeres is like 6'3", he's not good in the air. Um, the player who I think is like somewhat similar to Gyökeres is Lukaku. If you see Lukaku before he moved to City, he's sorry, Man United. He's somewhat similar to Lukaku. Lukaku wasn't good in the air, but he was good outside the box, like hitting long range shots. He had power, he had pace, so he used to score goals. But we are at a point where we need centre forwards who can score 20 to 25 goals. I don't think Gyökeres is that player. So I have some reservations, but one of the advantages which I see with Gyökeres is coming for 50 or 60 mil, and you don't get many players like good players for 650 or 60 mil. So what I see is Howard starting next season. Like Howard will be the main centre forward, and Gyökeres will be playing in certain games. Like for example, if he's playing against City, we need players who have power, and pace to go past certain centre forwards, centre backs. Sorry, 50 centre backs. So I think Gyökeres is good in these circumstances. Gyökeres is good as a sub because you are playing against tired legs, so he can use his pace. He's good against UEFA Champions League opponents because UEFA Champions League opponents, most of the teams which has played against, even us, right? The defense isn't as good as what we see in the Premier League. So you see teams score a lot of goals. Like if you see the top two or three defense, I think except Milan, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, these three teams apart, most of them have conceded like 6 or 7 goals in the full campaign. So they're conceding 1 goal every game or so. So the defense isn't as good as what we see in the Premier League, right? So I think he's a good signing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he will be a good signing for us. But I would prefer Sesko. I would prefer someone like Isak over him if given a choice.
Okay, cool. So do you think is there any truth to this rumor? Because as you said, कि मतलब Arteta wouldn't prefer it, you know.
Correct.
So
So
uh,
I think what has happened is, and I've
yeah.
read this
Hmm,
article from
hmm,
on Steam.
hmm, hmm,
The thing is, Berta actually wanted him for Atletico Madrid, and I said, as I told you, Atletico Madrid is a
hmm, hmm,
team
hmm,
which defends
hmm.
and sort of just pings the ball forward, and
Yeah, come.
they have a
Hmm,
player who can run with the ball, right? So in
hmm,
that perspective, I think Gyökeres is a typical Atletico Madrid forward, right, center forward.
hmm,
And it makes sense
hmm,
for a Simeone team. But with Arteta, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for him to like. Obviously, he can change, and obviously, we can
hmm,
make changes
hmm,
to how we play next season. And
hmm,
there are a lot of options in transition because today as well we have seen
hmm,
Martinelli,
hmm,
in even
hmm,
Trossard in a couple of
hmm,
transition situations. So it's
hmm,
not that there won't be transition at all, but it's not as much as we see in the Portuguese league. So it will be like 2 or 3 chances in a game. If
hmm,
he's good enough, like he'll take those chances and score a goal. Like that's what we're hoping for. But I think according to me, what is
hmm,
happening is Berta actually wants Gyökeres because he scouted him or he has some personal preference after watching him.
hmm,
Mikel Arteta and the analysts from Arsenal have been tracking Sesko for more than 18 months.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
So I think those two names are the names which we I mean either one of them might come here depending on the price.
hmm,
Obviously the price matters a lot because
hmm.
what happens is
True, true. Hmm,
if tomorrow Chelsea are interested in
hmm,
Sesko, the
hmm,
price tag which he has of 70 mil obviously goes to 80 mil because then you have 2 or 3 clubs who are interested in him, right?
hmm,
Uh,
hmm,
so and since we have a lot of signings to make, like we are interested in Nico Williams, it seems like the rumors are
hmm,
coming in. We would
hmm,
need a goalkeeper as well.
hmm,
We would need a left back since so many left backs
hmm.
like Tierney is leaving,
Yeah, yeah.
Zinchenko is leaving.
Hmm,
We need Zubimendi.
hmm,
So these are the 4 signings we need. Obviously,
hmm,
there is another player who's linked, like Nipan, who was linked in January and who's supposed to come to Arsenal in the summer, right? He's going to
hmm,
make
hmm,
his decision soon. So
hmm,
he'll cost another 10 or 15 mil. So we
hmm,
have a lot of, lot of expenditure to like spend. So even
hmm,
for 10 or 15 million, it matters a lot for us. Like, so it's not like we are having only one
hmm,
target
hmm,
and like say Sesko goes for 100 mil, like Chelsea are interested in Sesko and they bid for 100 mil, you'll have to let him go. Same thing
hmm,
for Gyökeres. Like I hope we have
hmm,
other options as well, which the names
hmm,
haven't come out yet.
hmm,
But I think that there will be a scenario where there is a chance where our options can get overpriced and we don't go for them. That could also happen,
yeah.
right?
True, true. Okay, cool. Chalo. चलो फिर काफी हो गया टाइम, खत्म करते हैं। एंड होपफुली यू नो कि नेक्स्ट जो हमारा नेक्स्ट वीडियो होगा उसमें विल बी ऑल बी ग्लैड, विल बी डिस्कसिंग कि कि कैसे अपनी लीड को बचाना है अगेंस्ट मैड्रिड,
Yeah.
2 से 3 गोल की मेरी
Yes,
सो
yes, yes.
दैट वे अपना
Hopefully,
सीजन
hopefully.
भी थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग हो जाएगा।
They are like prioritizing the Champions League this year. क्योंकि उन लोग का
हम्म
like if you see the
हम्म
lineup which they're posting for the last 2 or 3, I mean that they're
हम्म
playing for the last 2 or 3 games. Like the
हम्म
main priority is the Champions League. So it's like both of us are like Madrid and Arsenal. Both of
yeah,
them are going for the Champions League. So it's a very
हम्म,
interesting game. Like ऐसे नहीं है कि Madrid के पास because I think for them like they have 2 or 3 good very difficult games coming up.
yeah.
So and Barca lead में and they're not dropping points. ऐसे कुछ है. So like
Barcelona were 3 points behind, like 3 points in front of them. तो अभी आज अगर मैड्रिड जीत जाती तो इक्वल हो जाता, बट बार्सिलोना would have a game in
one
hand.
point, one
हाँ
one game in hand, right?
हाँ, तो अभी अगर बार्सिलोना जीत गई, अब मेरे को पता नहीं कब
Correct,
है उनका, तो 6 पॉइंट्स का डिफरेंस, तो ऑलमोस्ट ओवर ही हो जाएगा।
correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
चलो
yes,
फिर
sir.
खत्म करते हैं यहीं पे स्ट्रीम
Yeah,
को, एंड थैंक यू
yes,
सो
yes.
मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग, इट वाज सो
Yeah,
मच
thanks a
फन,
lot, Deepak. Yeah,
एज ऑलवेज
yeah,
टॉकिंग टू यू। चलो फिर
thanks a
खत्म।
lot. Okay.
ओके, ठीक ठीक, चलो सी यू, बाय।